This video is going to be about how to write a good job posting. So a lot of the ones that I see, especially for the corporate world, they are incredibly long and boring. And for the most part, when you got to think about it like this. What would a virtual assistant want to see when they're looking at a job posting? They're looking for the benefits and why should they be working for you? Like, what are you going to offer them that they can't get somewhere else? So absolutely, you should have your job posting to where it does include like the actual tasks that they would be doing. So for ours, I like doing a job description within the job post under it, but then at the top, that is the most important part for like why would a virtual assistant choose your company over anybody else. So I put the benefits up there at the top. What we offer, depending on the job role, we'll give them complete, like they have flexible hours and they can also have flexible days. So they choose what days per week they work. They can work Monday through Sunday, totally up to them. They can also choose from what time to time they work, and they can even choose how many hours they work. So like we'll ask them, for instance, when they start off, like, how many hours are you available and things like that. But for instance, if they only want to work 35 hours for that week, that's totally fine with me. If they like want to work 45 hours, that's also fine with me. Like when it comes to my real estate business. To me, it's not about like trying to control every little thing. Like I always want to give them a lot of control because that turns into like a benefit. Even if they just had to look at like what we pay versus what somebody else does, I would want them to pick me over the benefits. So now I do try to be very competitive with what we pay, and we've talked about it many times. A lot of virtual assistants are somewhere between $2 and $10 an hour, and these virtual assistants, they're in lots of different countries. The ones that I work with personally are in the Philippines, but there's Venezuela, there is Nigeria, India, Pakistan, the Philippines. Those are like some of the really popular ones that you can find as far as countries that already have a lot of virtual assistants looking for work, especially India. I mean, there are just tremendous amounts of people there. I think there's like 1.4 billion people in the country, and there are so many of them that are already working remotely just because all of the giant like Fortune 500 companies are outsourcing call centers over there. So in the job posting, of course, have all the simple stuff and then have all the benefits up at the top. So anything that you can offer that would be looked at as a benefit. So do you offer paid sick time? Do you offer any kind of holiday pay? Do you offer any kind of bonuses? Do you pay more than other companies for the same position in your industry? That's a question to ask yourself. And it also goes back to like, how much experience do you want them to have? Are you looking for someone with no experience or a lot of experience? Make sure that your job posting, if you wanted someone with experience, make sure that it is calling out to those people. Make sure that the pay is competitive. Make sure you've got great benefits for them. And then from there, you might want to change the headline, like we're looking for a senior, and then you can name that role. Or if you're looking for someone with no experience, you may even just be looking for someone to do something like data entry. That is like the lowest barrier for someone. A lot of those people are going to be young and they're going to be fresh out of high school or college looking for a data entry job to start their career off. So you got to think like, are you looking for a junior position or senior? Make sure to include that in the job posting up in the title, okay? Just make sure that it makes sense. Make sure that it is all spoken clearly to the person, and make sure you put in there what you don't want. For instance, in our data department, when we are hiring people to do data entry, that ends up to where they're doing things like data scrubbing. We make sure to put in it like a warning. This job is incredibly repetitive. If you don't like repetitive work, please don't apply because you won't like it. We literally talk like that, and we try to talk like a human because we want them to understand, like, oh, okay, I probably should not apply to there, because if they are a person who likes to do a lot of different tasks throughout the day, they would hate this job. And I am doing myself and them a favor by not wasting their time with an interview to just find that out. I have actually put that in there, but then still had people come to the interview and then come to find out they did not like repetitive work. They wanted to do something different, like all throughout the day. So that is important to include warnings in there, so you make sure to call out the people that you don't want. And also, because there are some people that their dream job is to do the exact same thing all day, every day, so that when they're at work, they can kind of live life on autopilot. And like, I'm not one to judge, even though that's not something that I would want to do. There are some people that really like that. It's not all bad to every single person. So make sure that you call out the people that you want, and make sure that you warn the people that you don't want if they wouldn't potentially like that job. So I think that just about covers it. Yes, I understand the job descriptions are boring and stuff like that, but they still need to know that, because you're always going to have the personality types that want to see all that when they're applying, so that they know exactly what they're getting into. So that way it doesn't waste their time. Some of these people are having to apply to a lot of jobs, and so you always want to be mindful of those people. And, because right now in the corporate world, there are a ton of businesses that never stop actually marketing to try to get more employees. And it's, I guess the term that I've been hearing for that is like phantom job posting. So that means that these companies are always leaving these ads up, but then they're not actually taking anything more than an application. They're not even like interviewing people at the moment. They just want the applications on standby in case someone quits or something. I mean, you can definitely get into the ethics of that, and yeah, that does suck, especially if you're trying to ask those people to do a lot of stuff. Like me personally, like I don't want to do that. So, because if you start asking people to like, hey, shoot a video of yourself in the job posting, in order to apply, and they've got to do a voice recording, so that way you can listen and see how good or bad their English is. If you have people who are going to manage the phone for you, like, incoming calls, or if you're having them do like cold calling for you. So that's just something to keep in mind. I probably wouldn't go down that road, because let's be real. Like when you're posting to these global job boards, the response that you can get it's overwhelming sometimes. I mean, probably the most applications that I've ever gotten in, like, let's say about a 24-hour period, I mean, it could sometimes be 500 depending on the type of position that you're hiring for. Because like I said, when you dial in your job posting and you make sure to list all the benefits to where that's the first thing that they all see, and they realize like that's the job that I have been looking for. Because none of the corporate jobs are going to give them that. They're working from home. They can work anytime they want, any day they want. They can even work 35 hours or 45 hours if they want. We just ask for approximately 40 hours, but then however it plays out is totally up to them. Also, with my team, I do something that might not be for everybody else, and that's because I don't need them to work during the daytime for me. So they work when I'm asleep, and then when I'm up working during the day, that's their off and sleep time. And I like to make it to where if they have something that comes up, that's not an issue. Now, if they're manning the phone for you, then stuff like that won't work. I totally understand. So it's whatever works for you, needs to be how you run it. But then just know that you need to find whatever is unique about you and your company, and then you need to sell that to them in the job posting in order to get those really great candidates to come through, because, you've got to have a reason for an A player to work with you. A lot of business owners, they don't look at themselves and the opportunity that they're putting out there and asking themselves like, hey, for what I'm doing right now, would an A player want to come and work with me as a person or within my business? Because if everything is hard and nothing is laid out and it's all chaotic, it needs to not stay like that for very long. Like if you had someone that's in a very chaotic role for, let's say, like a year, their life is going to be like in shambles when they're at work. So that kind of goes back to SOPs and then having systems, processes within your company to make sure that you have a good work-life balance with all of your workers. But this is just some things to kind of keep in mind. If you are a solo entrepreneur and you're in the real estate niche, so house flipper, house wholesaler, or if you're a land flipper, anything like that to where you're doing deals and you're actually wanting to either make time so that you could potentially grow your company, or if you're wanting to get time back so you could like actually have a life and go and spend time with family and do things like that, or even just like make it home for dinner, is what I do is I work with people to show them how to like get virtual assistants, get all the SOPs within their company. And I teach all of that. And it's like in detail, step by step. There's a video in the description. Just click the link, go watch the video. It's step by step of how to do everything from SOPs to then onboard, attract, hire, train virtual assistants for your real estate company. I highly recommend that you watch it. If you like this kind of stuff, give me a follow, subscribe. I appreciate it.